What's really going on with the September 2nd boat strike? Schumer is demanding answers and the unedited tapes, and the administration's contradictions are on full display.
On the NDAA and Hegseth, well, today, as has already been widely reported, Secretary Hegseth and top administration officials will hold a classified briefing for the Gang of Eight. At the Gang of Eight hearing, I will ask Secretary Hegseth directly, will he commit to providing all senators access to the unedited tapes of the September 2nd boat strike? Again, Hegseth, will you commit, with no BS, to providing all senators with access to the unedited tapes of the September 2nd boat strike? Because the longer the White House and the Pentagon hold on to the tapes, the more the American people are wondering, what are Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth trying to cover up? Are they lying to the American people, or are they just trying to hide their incompetence? No one in the administration can seem to get its story straight. Last week, Donald Trump said he'd have, quote, no problem releasing the full video of the strike. Then yesterday, he walked back his statement, claiming he never said it and it was fake ABC News. You know, Donald Trump says something, doesn't like what he said, he made a mistake, and then he says it's fake news. But he said it. And the American people heard it, and it's on tape. And then he blames one of the networks for simply broadcasting what he said. What is going on in this country, and how do we let this man do what he does, destroying our values, our morals, of the fact that America has always been an honest country? So let me be clear. The only thing that can bring more clarity to the American people is the full release of the unedited tapes. Plain and simple. Republicans and Democrats in Congress agree. That's why there's a provision in the most recent version of the NDAA that demands a release of the unedited tapes to Congress. And if the Pentagon fails to hand over those tapes, Pete Hegseth's travel budget will be slashed by 25% until he complies. That was a bipartisan shot across the bow to Donald Trump, hand over the tapes, done by Republicans. I salute them for their courage in bucking him and bucking Hegseth. The inclusion of this NDAA provision restricting travel shows Congress is united in wanting to see these tapes as soon as possible. And both Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth must comply, say the Republican senators, or the DOD is penalized. I strongly support this provision and worked with Senator Reid, Senator Wicker, and others to keep it in. I hope it will compel Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth to do the right thing, release the tapes, give the American people the transparency we all deserve. Yield the floor.
What you just watched from Senator Chuck Schumer was not just another political statement, it was the majority leader of the United States Senate calling out an administration that is out of alignment with the basic principles of transparency and democratic accountability. This exchange didn't happen in a vacuum. It's taking place after weeks of unanswered questions, shifting stories, and a mounting sense that the American people are being deliberately kept in the dark about what truly happened during the September 2nd boat strike. To understand the weight of Schumer's demand, you have to understand how unusual this situation is. Congress, Republicans and Democrats, has already made it clear through the NDAA that the tapes must be released. That alone tells you how serious this is. Normally, when it comes to classified military footage, there is a process. There are steps. But here, Congress didn't just ask. They didn't just recommend. They wrote into law a penalty, a 25% cut to Pete Hegseth's travel budget if the Pentagon refuses to release the unedited video. And that is not something Congress does lightly. It's an extraordinary move that shows just how deep the concern runs across both parties. Think about that for a moment. How often do you see Republicans and Democrats unite around anything, especially in this political climate? Yet on this, they spoke with one voice. That tells you this isn't some partisan squabble or political theaters. This is about something far more fundamental: trust. Trust in the military, trust in the commander-in-chief, trust in the systems meant to protect democratic oversight. Schumer understands that when the government withholds evidence related to a military incident that resulted in deaths, it chips away at the public's faith in institutions. And when the White House keeps contradicting itself, when Donald Trump says one day he's fine releasing the tapes, then denies saying it the next day and blames the press, that tells the public that the story is unstable. And an unstable story makes people wonder what's being hidden. Because the truth is, if the strike was legitimate, if everything followed protocol, if every decision was made correctly, then releasing the tapes would reinforce the administration's narrative. But the refusal to release them, or even give Congress a coherent explanation, only creates the perception that there's more to the story. And in politics, perception is power. There's also a deeper historical context here. Americans have lived through era after era of government secrecy around military operations, from Vietnam to Iraq to drone programs. Each time, the pattern is the same. The longer the government waits to tell the truth, the more damage is done to public trust when the truth finally comes out. Schumer is basically saying, we've been here before. Don't repeat the mistakes of the past. He's also calling out something even more concerning, the normalization of contradiction. In a healthy democracy, when leaders make conflicting statements, the expectation is that they clarify or correct themselves. But we now live in a political reality where leaders simply declare their own words fake, and their base accepts it. That erodes the very foundation of truth that democracy requires. Schumer calling out Trump for saying one thing on camera and then denying it the next day isn't just about the boat strike. It's about a much larger crisis of honesty. And that's why the release of these tapes is so important. It's not only about what happened on September 2nd. It's about whether the American public can still demand proof instead of rhetoric. Whether Congress still has the authority to oversee the executive branch, whether transparency still matters. Schumer is right. The only thing that can bring clarity now is full, unedited evidence, nothing else. Not summaries, not talking points, not classified briefings that exclude most lawmakers. The tapes themselves. And the fact that Republicans, including those who often support Trump, backed this NDAA provision shows that there are still people in government who understand that truth must outweigh loyalty, that accountability matters, that the Pentagon cannot dodge Congress indefinitely. So if you're watching this, pay attention. This isn't a small procedural fight. This is a rare moment where both parties are demanding the same thing, transparency, and the executive branch is resisting. And that tension tells you something is broken. If you care about oversight, if you care about truth in government, if you care about democracy functioning the way it's supposed to, this is the story to follow. And here on Left Lens, we're going to keep breaking it down piece by piece so you understand not just what happened, but why it matters and what it means going forward. So if you want more deep, clear, unapologetic analysis like this, hit subscribe, like this video, and share it so more people understand what's at stake. Because the only way to keep power in check is to keep paying attention, and we're going to do that together.